Selectman, you want to start? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the hearing to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning. Introducing the panel members, to my left is Ms. Rempel, and to her left is Mr. Faluk. Representing the City of Winnipeg from the Assessment Department is Doug Stratton, and our recording secretary is Belen Rojo. For you that haven't been here before, there's a brief statement that I would like to make about the procedure that we're going to go through. We'll be hearing applications for the revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application, and we'll limit those discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicants and the assessor make at the hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the City Administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respects to the application may be appealed to the municipal board if the matter pertains to assessed value and or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to application for exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respects to the hearing, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant that appears this morning. After you are sworn in, we'll then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that you may have, and the other applicant that you will have at that point. Then will be your opportunity to present your case, and there'll be question periods. There'll be an opportunity to summarize on each party if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The procedure will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded, and they're going to be part of the public record. We'll ask our secretary to swear in the assessor, and then we'll go to the first one on the docket, which is number 50, Bramblecourt Crescent. So we'll have you come forward over here.
Please state your full name.
That's right.
Please swear the evidence about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Have you got? Thank you.
You can either be sworn in or affirmed, either one.
I'll be affirmed.
Okay.
Not as organized.
Please state your full name. And you affirm the evidence about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Do you have any evidence for the power this morning?
I do. He's going to try to I need it.
That's okay.
Okay. You want
Thank you. Everybody set? We'll first hear from the assessor, and the assessor will be taking us through your property and describing it and how they concluded value and how they got there. Mr. Strachan, whenever you're ready.
Okay, roll number 080066366600, 50 Brambleford Crescent. Properties in Norman Park, two-story, built in 1998, 2,300 square feet. Got a full basement, some basement finish, 3 washrooms, central air, a fireplace, and attached garage. Lot size approximately, or it's 9,100 square feet. It backs onto a park area. I believe there's a public walkway through the park area, and it's on the Red River. All the comparables: Norman Park, Easy Street, Red View, Carrot Cove, and 26 Reese Cove. 2 stories, year built, ranges 1987 up to, you'll see one of the properties has an effective age, 2000. The square footage, there's a range, just under 2,200 square feet down to the 1,360 square feet. They all have full basement development, washroom count, very much the same features, air conditioning, fireplaces, attached garages. And the comparable number 2 does have a in-ground pool. Lots range 6,100 square feet to approximately 9,100 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices, approximately 350,000 to 666. The 2019 assessment is 540,000. Requesting that the 2019 assessment be maintained as the property was appealed last year, the 2018 roll, and the assessment was reduced to 540,000, and that was accepted through the Board of Division order. So I'm requesting that the 2018 assessment be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Questions of the assessor? Just what you heard.
Would you agree that the property in question backs onto the primary dike?
I'll take your word for it. I haven't been up there.
Okay.
I know there's
There is a
walkway.
yeah.
in the red,
So there is a primary dike, and I can tell you and everyone here that it is used like a sidewalk. So I've got people walking in the front and people walking through my backyard. So I appreciate that I'm the house backs onto a park, but the first thing it backs onto is primary dike, which I mow and which people use as a walkway. Across the river, I don't know if you were able to look at the map, but across the river there's Kings Park and soccer fields. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
So that gets really quite noisy, so the water carries a lot of sound. And again, it's just a matter of the way we do things when assessing. It's just not taken into account, so I want to raise it here, even though the river is quite a ways away. You said that the basement was finished?
Yeah, we have showing that there is some development. Square footage wise, I don't have that.
Okay. I don't know if I'm allowed to say whether it's finished or not, but it is. It's it's partially finished, but certainly not as finished as many of the other homes that are on there. Thank you.
Just explanation about the basement finish. 588 square feet. On this system, I believe on the website too, it says basement finish, yes or no. In your basement, it might be a 6x6 washroom. That's basement finish. So it's just a binary yes or no.
Okay.
So it doesn't, when it says basement finish, it doesn't necessarily mean the whole basement is
Okay.
developed.
So it's not like when a real estate agent tries to sell your house and say the basement's finished. People would read that to say the entire basement would be finished as opposed to just a partial. Yes or no here?
Like our record saying yes or no?
Yes. Your records are saying yes or no?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's correct. We don't, on the form here, we don't have square footage.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
That's it. Ms. Ripple, questions of the assessor?
I'm just wondering if you could tell me which of these comparables you think is the most relevant to the subject property, if
Based
there
on-
is one.
Based on the square footage, I lean towards the comparable number 2. Age-wise, the original year built was 1987. The property had undergone some upgrades. I believe it was new kitchen, washroom, etc. That's why there's been an effective age applied to the property.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Faluk?
No questions.
Mr. Strachan, you had mentioned that the subject property, it's got park influence for land. So does that, have you been to the property at all, or?
No, I haven't.
No, okay. So, but I noticed that the lot is quite big.
Yes.
So, what sort of influence does the park like?
Park area, some people find it negative, others find it attractive. It's not a huge amount. I've got an aerial photo of the property if you wanted to see it. There's the house, there's the park area behind, there's I guess, a public walkway, and then the river is further to the west.
So, the evaluation date is, for the subject is value as of April the 1st, 2016,
Yes.
right? Okay. So, last year, you had mentioned that it was appealed before?
Yes, did I not include a copy of that?
Yes.
Oh, here it is, there, okay. Okay. So it was reduced, by $32,000. Okay.
Yeah. And
Were you defending the property at that time?
no, I was not. It was a retired assessor.
Okay.
Lucky guy.
Mr. Bourne?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I thank you. We're ready for your presentation, madam?
Okay. First off, I'd like to very much say that I appreciated the reduction last year, and when it was a case of where my neighbor's house exactly next to me was about 540 something, and all of a sudden mine was up to 572, and we'd always been assessed at almost exactly the same amount, so that's why I came here last year. When I made my presentation, I don't think I accurately mentioned everything I wanted to say, so, and I probably ticked off the appeal again this time because one, I didn't know what was going on, as when I talked to the clerk, like they send you another notice out, and then I thought, well, I said yes, so I'll come and say what I wanted to really say the last time. So one was the dike, and you'll see on the picture that yellow line on the back.
This one here?
No, further up, right at the property line. So maybe it's not yellow, maybe it's orange. Yeah, okay, right at the back there. Can I get it?
Here?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
So that is the primary dike. So that's right on the back of the property. The property is so large, not because it's just that big V there. It's just, I guess when the developer bought the land or whatever, or they did the reserve, the park reserve, they decided just to do that kind of roundabout thing there. One of the items I have given you in my package is, one of the last 2 pages in your package that was handed out, to give you a better perspective of what the neighborhood looks like. So it would be this one, yeah, so you'll see, property in question, again, is that one with the V. And then you'll see that it was kind of stopped there because there was no development to the north for many years, and then it finally went in about 10 years ago. So you'll see that there's a big, kind of a huge development coming out after that. And that, the reason it comes out like that is because when they redid the floodway up to 300 years in one, or 300 years before there would be another flood, they were able to bring the property out further towards the river. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. So that has an impact as well. So I'll go to my second page, which is exactly the same page I brought last time. And really what I'm asking for is I noticed the city's comparables are interesting because in that year there were a total of 20 houses, like in that period, 20 houses for sale. So that's how we have to base the market assessment, or the market value. So that isn't very much to use as a comparison. Overall, I can't agree with comparable number 2 because it's a bungalow. It's bells and whistles from, I know the people who built it, bells and whistles. She was a real estate agent. I can't accept that one. In my case, on the second page, my comparables are number 2, Brambleford, 15 Florian, 19 Henry Pearson Cove, 14 Reese Cove, and 22 Brambleford, which wasn't really sold in that area, but I put it there. All of these, when you average up the assessed values, it comes down to $224 per square foot, which means that what I'm asking for is that the assessment for my house be $520, as opposed to the really high value that was before and the assessed value that it was reduced to. So that would be another reduction of $20,000.
And that's your presentation?
That's one part of it. And the other part
Okay.
point I'd like to make is that it's the last map. So it's got 18 Saint Germain on the back, which is an area just to the north of here. It's called Bright Oaks. Where I live, it's called Bright Oaks. You'll notice that darkened area here is a park. The area, the point I'm trying to make is the houses are pretty well assessed the same, whether they're backing onto a park or not. Where I live, 2 Brambleford is 10 houses away, so it's 500, not even, so half a kilometer away, not even half a kilometer away from where I live. So 10 houses. 60, okay, so not even 10 houses. I'm sorry, I'd say maybe 500 feet away from where I live. But the selling price is $410. And I'm kind of objecting to the fact that a house can be $100,000 more, like just down the street. This isn't Tuxedo. This is also backing onto a park. 15 Florian was sold actually for $450,000. Again, it's backs onto a walkway. It was backing onto an open field for 20 years. Again, it's being assessed at much lower than my house, and there's no way someone's gonna pay $520,000 for my house. It's 6 houses away, 4 houses away. It's not worth another $100,000. The lots are similar in size. So that's pretty well the point I want to make, is that 22 Brambleford, which is on there, and was sold for less than $450 that they were asking. It's the same, almost the same size of house. Again, $100,000 difference for 4 or 5 houses just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Strachan, questions?
When did the Brambleford property sell?
Which one?
Sorry, 22.
22, it sold in the summer of 2017, and I know it's outside of the range. But this is after prices apparently have gone up a little bit. Really, they haven't.
And you mentioned one of my comparables was a bungalow.
Yes,
Which one was that? I missed which.
maybe I made a mistake. It's a 2-story. It is my mistake. It isn't a bungalow.
So you find your location being a negative factor?
All of the, how do I say this, all of the yards on my street are huge, big,
Okay.
they're big yards. All of them have been well landscaped, just like mine, you know, you can't see anything back behind you. I can't see anything behind me. Even if I were 22 Brambleford, it's been so landscaped you can't see the people behind you. And in fact, there is an old shelter belt, so where they used to, when it was farmland, they planted trees, so it's all treed in the back. $100,000 difference for 3 houses away, 4 or 5 houses away just doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think anyone will buy it for an extra $100,000. House is the same, the size of the lot, and my lot is because of that kind of strange triangle there, makes it a bit bigger.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Thank you. Ms. Reppel?
Yes, I'm wondering if you can tell me what year you purchased the house in?
It was built in 97, we moved in 97, 98.
And have you done any upgrades since you moved into the house?
There's since we moved into the house, we put a carpet on the floor in parts of the basement so the kids could play there. So that's about 20 years ago.
Can you tell me, do you know how far Redview Drive is from your home? Approximately? This house?
It's right, so if you look at the,
You said
the
you
map.
knew the people that had built it?
I was confusing it with the bungalow.
Oh,
So I would have to actually go and look at the address. I used to live at 111, and I don't know which one exactly was 103. So if you look at the map, so you'll see my lot with the funny point at the end. It goes straight up the street.
are you looking at the 18 St. Germain Street map?
No, at the 7 Caracoa map.
Okay.
Okay. And where are you?
So this is
I'm
where
right
she
that
is.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right here.
You go straight up the street, and that's Redview Drive, and I think 103 is pretty well on the corner there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Assessor.
Actually, I've,
Oh, I see. So it's near your house.
It's very,
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Fluke?
Just to be clear for me, are you saying that these yellow lines, or these orange lines here, are where people walk?
Those are that's the borderline, and yes, that's where people walk.
Here, here.
Yeah,
The,
they'll walk all the way along. 'Cause
the,
that's the
the
dike.
orange line is the property
Property
line.
line,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, that's the property line, but where is it that people are walking?
right next to the property line.
Right there.
See, that's quite high, you can't see.
Oh, yeah, I see it, so
Yeah.
it's kind of compacted down.
Yeah, it's a dike, so there's about I don't know how much, maybe 15, 20-foot slope down towards the park,
On the other side of these trees.
starting at the trees.
The dike is here,
The dike is right that white area.
here.
No.
What white area you
This.
got? Here.
That's right,
Here.
right. And from the dike, you know that, where you start to see the trees, it goes down 15 to 20 feet on a slope towards the park area.
So when you're saying that what you can see is just these trees
Right,
on your back.
in the summer, for sure, yeah. In the winter, I can see more, because they're all deciduous.
That's correct,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
I just have just a couple of questions. On your second page,
Yeah.
you calculated some average selling price of 202 at the very bottom there. And then you went, or 202 plus 247, and then you give the average, which comes to 224 a square foot. Where do you get the 247?
Okay, I'll have
At-
to think
at the
about
bottom
this
there.
one again, 247. So
So, you know, I
I added
don't know,
the-
I don't know where that figure comes from.
I can't remember, sorry. I know that the average selling price.
Well, the average selling price is 202.24, right?
Right.
Okay, so, but then you got here,
Oh, the
unless
240,
it's in,
yeah. I think the 247 is what it had been
That's what I was gonna
at
say.
572. And
Oh,
so I
there-
averaged it out
Oh.
and took the, cut the big.
there it is on the
half
first
14.
sheet there. The selling price per square foot assessed,
Yeah,
okay. So you just average those two
Yeah.
and you come to the
so I took
520.
50/50.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So, on your page 2, what is the most comparable property that you see there to your property?
15 Florian,
Yeah,
because it was.
it's pretty close, eh?
It's very close, and, I'm
Now,
trying to
does
see,
that-
it's on the map too.
Yeah. Does that back onto the park or anything like that?
No,
No.
it
Okay.
backs onto a wide walkway now. Before that, it backed onto an open field.
Okay. Mr. Strachan, summation if you desire?
I request that the decision accepted by the Board of Revision be maintained again. Thank you.
Okay. Final word?
Thank you for hearing me out.
All right. So thank you for coming this morning and the results very soon. Okay, thank you. We'll go to Melrose Avenue East. We'll have you either sworn in or affirmed, and
You sworn in, please?
Please state your full name.
Charles Brian Dodd.
And you swear the evidence you're going to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any evidence for the panel this morning?
It did make copies. And honestly, I'm just being truthful, as I look at the comps compared to what I have, I actually am okay. I apologize for the time.
no, if you want to make a presentation, you're gladly to sit there, but if you're in agreement,
Honestly, as I look through the comps, I mean, it would be, I think, a waste of
Okay,
your guys' valuable time.
okay, you
To be 100%
can,
honest, so.
therefore you can just leave it with us, okay?
Yes.
And if you want, just for the record, we'll maybe swear you in, okay? And do just a preliminary, so we
Sure.
have it on record.
Okay,
Is that okay with you?
that is fair.
Okay, so, we'll maybe get you sworn in though.
I did.
Okay, okay, good,
Yeah, I was
good.
kind of sneaky
All
like
right,
that.
all right, all right. Mrs. Strachan, take us through this property, please.
16 Melrose East, 090010900. Transcona Melrose neighborhood, 1.5 story. Built 1946, effective age 1986. There was a permit taken out. It was 9x9 addition demolished and a 550 square foot addition to the rear of the house was built. Electrical plumbing permits were taken out as well. 2 washrooms, central air, attached garage, detached single. We have it assessed at $239,000. All the comparables, either 1.5 or 1 3/4 stories. Original year built. You'll see they're older than the subject property. They have all undergone renovations. That's why there's an effective age for all the comparables. Area, just over 1,000 square feet up to 1,250 square feet. The subject does have a surface foundation, whereas 2 of the comps have part and the other 2 have full basements. You'll see all the features there. Air conditioning. 3 out of 4 of them do have detached garages. Comparable number 4 does not have a garage. Lot sizes 2,700 to 5,400 square feet. Sales, time adjusted sale prices $215,000 up to $258,000, and so we have it assessed at $239,000 for the 2019 roll, and sales history before or below subject sale history. They're all post-reference, so they can be ignored, but I'm requesting that the 2019 assessments be maintained. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one, actually, just for my own interest sake. Is basements are not evaluated within living space, are they?
No, they're not.
Okay, that's what I thought, I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
Personal curiosity.
Mr. Impel, Mr. Funk, any questions?
No, I don't.
I have no questions.
You can just state that, what you think the value should be, and no, that's it.
I am
You're happy with the?
fair, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at the comparables, that the assessment is fair.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming this morning.
Well, thank you, sorry for
No, no,
using
no,
our valuable
hey,
time,
hey,
ladies and
not at
gentlemen.
all.
You never
It's a
saw
learning
the
curve, too.
material beforehand, so, that's the unfortunate part.
That's okay.
Okay.
Fair. Thank you,
So,
everybody.
thank
Merry
you.
Christmas. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Yes. Hector Bay West, 1206.
Would you like to swear in or affirm? Swear. Please state your full name. And you swear the evidence you represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. I can take it out.
Okay, so 1 is ABCD,
Okay?
2, so, I can have this. I don't know, I've never been here before, so I had to way too
Okay.
much information.
You could have given that to our girl, and she would have handed it out for you.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
just didn't want
You're
you.
taking your job away.
Just a minute.
Okay.
I thought there was supposed to be 6 of them. this, do you get
6
one?
including for yourself, yeah, so I get a file copy also.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I just saw that. Okay.
Yes.
So you're aware of what's happening, so we'll listen to the assessor, Mr. Strachan?
1206 Hector Bay West, rule number 12-011507100, Grant Park neighborhood, bungalow built in 1959. Some upgrades have occurred resulting in the effective age. Just under 1,100 square feet, full basement. There is some basement development. Couple washrooms, central air, and a single detached garage. The lot size, 6,400 square feet. All the comparables in the comparables 1 through 4, Grant Park. Neighborhood, sorry, except comparable 4, which is Rockwood. All bungalows. Originally year built, similar, they've all undergone some sort of upgrade. That's the effective age. Square footage, 1050 up to 1,300 square feet. They all have full basements, basement development. Washroom count, very similar, except comparable one just has one 3-piece washroom. Features, you'll see central air, a couple of have fireplaces, and most of them do have a garage, except comparable to lot sizes, 4,800 up to 6,200 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices, 342,000 to 407,000. You see the sale length year 2014 and 2015 sales. 2019 assessment, 364,000. And the sales history. At the bottom, the reason there was a supplementary assessment notice sent out, a building permit was taken out, a 3-season sunroom was constructed, declared construction value on the permit $28,000. $20,000. It was a 12 by 12, according to the plans, 12 by 12, 3-season. Thus, a supplementary assessment notice was mailed out for the improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the assessor?
Well, my sunroom was 19,000, I don't know, about 28,000. It was mailed in, apparently, the cost of it. 12 by 12 is right, but that's just, I have a copy here of the sunshade products. Oh, no, sorry, 21,800, but not 28,000. That's what it will cost. It's a 3-season or seasonal. So that was the one thing there. Okay, anything else? Do you want to see the?
No, sorry, it was a question, sorry,
If you go to B, like I did A, B, C, D,
Right,
if you go
okay.
to B, the top sheet is the sunshade bill.
Because right now, we're just questioning the assessor's presentation, okay?
Okay, so, yeah, no, okay, so, it was just.
Do you have
a
any
key.
further questions?
No.
Mr. Rempel?
I have no questions at this time.
Mr. Faluk?
No questions at this time.
Mr. Strachan, The building permit, it looks like it was 20,770.
Yes.
Okay. And you haven't been to this house at all, or?
I have not.
Okay. All right. The floor is yours, Ms. Unruh.
Thank you. So if you just go to A, I just put some of the major points down there, part
Okay,
A.
whereabouts are you on your presentation?
Just A, this is the summary of it.
Okay.
My
This is-
major point is that I bought this house last year for $345,000. It had been on the market for 3 months. I put in an offer for $340,000. And they came back to me after 2 months and asked me if I would go up to $345,000, and I agreed. So if you go, what is the house worth today? It was worth in June of 2017, $345,000. That was the best they could get. They had a big open house, they had no offers. So my thing is, it's pretty clear what the value of the house was last year. You know, I thought I actually overpaid a little bit because it's very small, but anyway, that's, and I did build a sunroom. So I'll go to number 1 though. Every square inch of the lawn has thistles, including the flower bed, which I've dug up so I can plant it again. The entire lawn needs landscaping. My neighbor was gonna come and testify to that. I didn't know how these things work, but he is sick today. But you couldn't see that in May, like, you know, when I looked at the house and when I bought it, so I didn't realize the landscaping problems of the house. I already brought that up in my sales price. 2, very important one, and I'm only partially fenced directly in my neighbor's yard. I have some pictures of it later on. So when I go in the backyard, I'm literally in my neighbor's, like they're, if you see the pictures, I guess we could go to the pictures if you wanted to. No, I think I'll just go through it. I hadn't decided. I'll just go through this and then I'll go back. And then number 3, my garage is really a shed. I cannot fit my vehicle in it. It's very, very small. They stuck it and put new shingles on it before I bought it. But and the floor is cracked and it floods every fall and spring. It's impossible to store anything in there. And the garage walls are cracking. I have pictures of that further on. And then people are saying now on my way in here that the windows, you can't clean that, but my front bay window is like a wall actually, because it's in a framework. I'll show you. And anyway, it's leaking and clogs up and has icicles in the winter. And number 5, well, there was some damage done when my stepson stayed in the basement for a while. So I mean, that was just basically because what would my house be worth today, but I'm having that repaired. But if I was to put it on the market today, that repair hasn't been done yet. Number 7, my yard is very small on the proper compared to my neighbors. I cannot fit my truck into the garage. I mentioned that earlier. They say I have a legal suite in the basement, as the real estate suggests, but my basement windows are small, do not have window wells, and my house has a side door that goes directly to the basement. Anyway, I thought perhaps maybe they assessed it higher because it said an in-law suite on the ad. But it's very, very, I had my nephew staying there for a while. We did some damage to the house down there, or my step-nephew. But it has to be boiling upstairs for the downstairs to be warm. So the central air, I don't know how they did it when they remodeled the house, but it's very cold downstairs. It has to be boiling upstairs. So it's not really, you can't really use the basement for an in-law suite unless you fix the heating system. Number 8, I did build a small seasonal sunroom, but I had to put it on the back of the house because city bylaws would not allow me to build it off my living area due to the proximity to my neighbors. It's a pilot, so thus I have to walk through my house and through my computer room to access the sunroom. To my way of thinking, that would decrease the value of the sunroom because it's not an inconvenient place. It would be much better off with the kitchen or the living room. Number 9, I did put a 10x10 shed on there because of the basement flooding all the time and I needed more storage for bikes and stuff. But I had to build it on top of my patio, so this $2,000 shed, and it did need a building permit. This is 10x10. Considering I had to take my patio down to put it up, I don't think it would change the value of the house. There was a small shed on the property when I moved into it, but they plopped it right now, right behind where I park my truck. Like, there's a tiny little garage, and then there's an area where you can park a second vehicle, and that's where I park my truck. And, they put that shed right there. It's a very inconvenient, but because they were trying to block the view of the townhouses behind us, and they didn't have a fence, so they just plopped the shed there to kind of obstruct the view of the townhouses. But I'm gonna have to move that, and it's just, if anybody was to buy the house the way that shed is, I'd have to move that to make it, or else, I mean, I'd have to take a deep breath in what I could get for it. My front concrete steps are separating from the house and pulling away from the foundation. And number 12, I had Judy Lindsay, they're my, do comparable houses and taxes that's sold in the area recently. And so I paid $345,000 for this house in May of 2017, in my opinion. I'd be lucky. Well, I'm saying that probably $350, because when I phoned Sunshade, they said that it probably added value of about $5,000 to the house with the sunroom. So I paid $345 plus 5 is $350, and Judy Lindsay says the markets have been flat in my area, maybe a tiny increase, but 0.05 or something. The bedrooms in the house are very small. You can't fit like a bedroom set in there. You just put a bed in one, and then I have my dresser in another one, and then in the third one I have my computer. And the garage, windows, and the walls in the front of the house. Okay, so then if you go to page 3, if you just flip over, it says my proposed market value for 2020 is $392,000. I mean, I spent $345,000 for it last year. I built a small sunroom on back, and now it's gonna jump up to $3. I do not think that's realistic that we could ever possibly get that for it, but however, for 2019, they have it assessed at $364. If you turn to page 4, this is your City of Winnipeg map there. So my property is 364, 1206 Hector Bay. 1218 is considered my comparable in the City of Winnipeg comparables, and it's $333,000 there. So that just proves, if you flip one more page over, page number 5, 2018 Hector Bay West was considered a comparable again on the city, and the sale price was $340,000. So it's right in there. So 1198 Hector Bay, page 6, that's just a picture of it. This is 2 houses over from mine. And if you flip over, its taxes, it was, assessed value was $299,000. And assessed value is $318,000. And that property is fully fenced and has a large double garage, and the yard is larger. The square footage of the entire property is larger than mine, that 1198. If you go to 1202 Hector Bay West, which is right next to me, page 9, there's a picture of it. It's kind of got a sunroom, and his garage is attached through a walkway. It was assessed, it's the same as mine, $364. But for 2020, they're saying $389 as opposed to $392, which for 2020, they're saying they expect my house to be $392. And in 1202, they're saying in 2020 it's going to be $389. It's a lot bigger, 1,240 square feet. But it doesn't have a sun, well, it has lean-tos and stuff, but not a regular sunroom like I do. So then there's my house, page 12. So then I just have my stuff there, and it's so again, if they're not fenced. Assessed value of $392. Seems exorbitantly high to me, really. 1210 Hector Bay West, there's this on the other side of me, it was 322, it's supposed to be 351,000, and so I don't know where my 392 comes from, or how they got that number for 2020, and I think 364 for 2019 is higher than I could possibly get for it. 1214 Hector Bay West, this is a beautiful house, it's got a big deck there on the back, and a big deck on the front, a double garage, a huge pylon. It's like on a base, so each property has a different size in the back. And mind you, it is assessed at $375 or $396. estimated. And then if you flip over to page 21, Kelly. He had a stroke. Did you wanna talk to him?
No, you
No.
keep going.
No.
No.
It's fine. Kelly, could you read please if you're in order? 1218 Hector Bay West, he can't talk, he has aphasia, I'm sorry. 1218 Hector Bay West, is it considered my comparable on the city services? Its assessed value was 333, and then for 2020 is 356, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just showing that mine seems to be coming out higher than everything that I think is worth it. So then on part B, the top one is my sunshades for my, I just bought the bill for what I paid for that. The second is just the shed I had put on there, a small shed. I just have a picture of it there, and then I have a picture of the sunroom. If you go over, I have a picture of the shed that's plopped in the middle of my backyard, trying to block off the townhouses behind me. The next page is, you can kind of see my garage. They were taking down a tree there beside it with my neighbor, but my garage is very, very small, so I just have a picture there of that. The next page shows the bay windows and the leaking, and it just shows icicles, and that, I just took that yesterday. And it's like, if you look, there's beams, it's not like a regular window, right, like, so I don't know if that affects you or not, but. Then if you go to the next one, this one I think is really important, is my yard and the neighbor's yard are one. I really need a fence, so you can see there's my yard and my sidewalk, and there's the neighbor, like we're right, like I can't go in the backyard without my neighbor being right in there. So I think that I really have to put a fence up there, because that's just, the privacy is terrible. And the next page was the tiles, the new tiles. See, this place was remodeled, but a lot of the remodeling was not done properly, just showing that the tiles in the kitchen are separating there. I have a picture of that, and then there's just like, I don't know why, but there was some damage done to the basement there, but I'm having that fixed right now, but so I did a picture of that. Yeah, this one's probably important. The garage floor is cracked. I took a picture of the garage floor there. A big crack all the way across. I mean, it's not flooding right now, so I can't show you the flooding. And then the other one says the shed I built covers my former patio, so I can a picture of that. And then the last one are the garage walls cracking. If you see, there's a perpendicular crack all the way up the side of the garage. On the picture shows it. And then Judy Lindsay just put together the part C, which is a bunch of houses and what they sold for, that they said are comparable houses to mine. I went through them all, and they do seem, and so to me, what a house sold for is what its value is. I think that's the best way to determine what a property should be assessed for, is what can you get for it. And they're all 320, 323, 330, 341, 345, and then they do the comparables all the way across. You can look at them. I don't have to go through it all. And then I just added in my inspector's report, because it says that the steps have to be changed and stuff that I had done before I moved into the house, and that's part D, but I don't think we have to go through the whole thing there. But I just thought for proof of the steps breaking away and different things like that, there's information there done by the inspector that's, so that's it.
So what do you think
Any
the value should be?
questions? $350.
$350?
Because I bought it for $345, and my sunroom, according to Sunshades, they went on their computer and said it should add 5,000 value. So 345 and 5 is 350.
Thank you. Mr. Strachan, questions?
For the sales comparisons that you supplied, what's the sale date?
June 15th, 2017 is when I bought it.
No, sorry, the comparisons that you supplied from the agent?
Yeah, they're all 2018. From Judy Lindsay there, I think they have the actual date on there, but they were all sold in the summer of just a minute.
Well, if you go to the last page,
It says the dates,
It all
yeah.
listed there, and it says 2017, this last
Oh, I'm
page.
sorry, they're 2017, not 18. So one is March 25th, 2017, then it's February 1st, and then it's August 10th, and then it's October, and then it's,
Right.
yeah.
So they're all
All
post-reference.
Yeah, they were all sold right near the time my house was bought.
Along the way, you mentioned that some upgrades were occurring, that you were doing making some changes? What's
Well,
that?
I'd like to put a fence up there, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I just said I have to do that. And I have to do the step on the side, because that's literally pulling on my foundation, and they said you have to do that,
Okay.
or you're gonna have problems.
And in section A there, you were bringing forward the 2020 assessment.
Yeah,
Are you-
so it's going 390, like I'm going, what? 3,000, so that's estimated, I take it, right? 392, page 3?
Yes, at this point, they're not official, I just wondered why that was being brought up, the 2020.
Well, because I just got that in the mail, and I'm going, oh my God, I just bought the house, they're raising it to 364, and now the year after, they're saying it's gonna be 392. You know, like, that's just like, to me, was a rapid increase in the value and the amount of taxes I'm gonna have to pay. I mean, I just got in there.
I have no other questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rempel?
I just want to clarify that the appeal we're hearing is for your 2019 supplementary
Okay.
assessment, not the 2020.
Okay.
That's what your application indicated, I believe.
Yeah, it's for
Okay.
2019.
Okay. I just wanted
And you
to,
would have to appeal the other one.
Yeah, a lot of these have the 2020 and 2019 with comparisons, and mine went up faster and higher than my comparisons, so that was just something I thought maybe I should look at already now, but if you can't, if you're only looking at 19 and that's not evidence that you wanna look at, that's, I'm just not.
no, that's fine. Thank you very much. It's a very thorough
Yeah.
presentation. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that that's what.
Today, we're looking at
Today, we're looking at
2019.
2019.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. The other thing I'm wondering is, you indicated you purchased this home in 2017.
Right,
And you talked about the changes you've made to the home.
yeah.
I'm wondering, was the garage in the shape that it's in today when you purchased the home?
The cracks are showing more now,
Okay.
and I didn't realize it flooded, although I did see the floor was cracked, but then when it flooded, and, yeah, so I just thought, well, I'll park I thought I could add a lean-to or something on it for my truck, like a carport over the side there, and the way the trees are is really, I almost need to tear that garage down and start over. It was built in 1959, and it's just made for a small little car,
Okay, thank you.
so it's not a.
Thank you. Mr. Fanuka?
I think all the questions I had were asked, it's quite detailed information as you've given us, and I think that it has been pointed out that we're just dealing with,
2019.
right, so that you have the opportunity to appeal the other one at a later date.
We want to have to come back.
Mr. Strachan, summary if you wish.
I have no further comments, thank you.
Okay. Sunroff, anything further?
No, I think it's all in there, and I think I mentioned everything I'm concerned about.
All right, I thank you for coming this morning, and results very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to Falcon Creek Bay, 187.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, you didn't have to do that, appreciate it.
I would like to swear in our, you can swear in on the Bible, or can you affirm without it?
I can start. Well, I will swear myself.
Okay, so you will affirm. Okay, please state your full name,
My name is Abdul Latif Mohidi.
and you affirm the evidence that God presents is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Falcon Creek Bay. Number 7. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Strachan, whenever you're ready.
187 Falcon Creek Bay.
Sir, we bought the home in 2007.
Sir, that's okay. We're gonna hear the assessor
Oh,
first,
oh,
and then it'll be your opportunity, okay? So just listen to what they have
Yeah,
to
sure.
say, and if you have any questions, you can ask questions at that point. Mr. Stratford?
Roll number 0309-299-1705. Two-story property in the South Point West neighborhood. Built 2017, 2,200 square feet, full basement. 3 washrooms and attached garage. By the looks of it, the property now has air conditioning installed after the sale. Okay, Point West, South Point West is a new development, reference date April 1st, 2016. Had to go outside because there is no sales that have occurred prior to April 1st, 2016. Had widened the parameters of sales, so it went South Point and Bridgewater Lakes. All 2 stories, built 2012 to 2015, 1,800 to 2,100 square feet, full basement. A couple of them do have basement development, washroom count 3 or 4. Similar features, air conditioning, a couple of them have fireplaces, and all have attached garages. Lot size 5,300 up to just under 7,100 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices 500,000, 475, 440, and 440,000. We have it assessed at 453,000 as of for the 2019 roll, and you'll see the sales history at the bottom. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the assessor, just in regards to what you've just heard?
As for the square footage is concerned, is it 2,200 square feet?
We went, according to the plans, 22, 25.
Actually, it's not, as per the plan that I have is, this is the basic plan that we bought is 2,160 square footage. It is wrong in that case.
Sorry, what was it, 2,000?
That's gonna be part of your evidence, so we'll just, so you're questioning the square footage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Strachan, comments?
A lot of builders, what they do is, they do not account for the staircases up to the main, or from the main to the second floor. They remove that area. On the plans I have, it gives the measurements.
Well, if we go by the total square footage of the building area is 32 by 34. So if we multiply that, it comes to that as exactly 32 by 34.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. It's, we were going by the plans, according to the plans. So I'll take a look at that when I return.
Anything further?
Well, we bought the home for the price of $400.
Let me just stop. Any questions in regards to their presentation? No?
No.
Okay, now I'll just see our panel members, okay? Ms. Rempel,
I have no questions. thank
Mr.
you.
Faluk?
The assessor, no question.
Okay. Now, you
Yes.
may take us through your property.
Okay, yeah, so we bought the property in 2017 for the price of $415,000 plus a few additions. Total is $420,000.
400 what?
$420,000. If you see the third page I gave you, so. Oh, no, sorry, I mentioned it wrong, it's 415,284. 415,284. We bought it in the end of 2017, and now we are sitting at 2018. I'm paying the tax for almost 453,000. That is what the value assessed. So that's almost like 40 grand more than the price I bought within a year. And I have a home comparable here. It's comparable 3 in 18 Nighthawk Bay, which has been assessed at 440,000. So mine is even a little bit lesser square feet than that, and it's a basic home. There is no bells and whistles, no upgrades to anything. So it's just a basic home, given by the builder, and so I feel that the fair price for my home would be around, if we give a few percentage of the increase, about 3 to 4%, I would say it would be 432,000 at this point.
What number did you say?
And
432,000. Which is now, right now it's assessed at 453,000, 454,000, sorry.
and that's your presentation, sir?
Pretty much that's about it. I don't want to take too much of your time, so
Mr. Strachan?
I appreciate your time.
Yep. I'll see if there's anybody has questions. Mr. Strachan, questions?
Regarding the square footage on the second floor, there was a projection, I assume it's over the garage, was that eliminated possibly, that's why?
No, there were supposed to be 3 bedrooms, total of 4 bedrooms, we made it into 3 bedrooms. It's the same area, square footage.
Okay,
Well, because the 1 bedroom is a loft now.
okay, so there is a projection off that loft over the garage?
Yeah.
There is? Okay.
But it's not a projection, it's the same one as this. Here, see if you can see that. It's not a projection,
Okay.
it's a straight line, it's not a projection at all.
Okay. Maybe that's where there's a difference. We have, the plans I have show, the front of the house is not straight across. There's the section over top of the garage, so I'll take a look at that. No other questions?
Thank you. Mr. Rempel?
Well, there's no projection coming over the garage at all, as the house ends behind the garage.
Right, okay.
The garage is completely outside.
Mr. Rempel, questions?
I'm wondering, since the purchase of the home, have you made any upgrades to it at all?
No, not at all.
That's all my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Faluk?
So you entered into the agreement to buy this place in 2016, is that correct?
Yeah, we entered the agreement in 2016, and the house was finished the end of 2017.
Right, so at that time you agreed to the price at 2016 in October,
Yes.
and then in effect it took a year to build.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
You okay, buddy?
I'm fine now.
In your, on your second page here, why is there a difference in regards to the price from the, say, 392,000, okay, and it went to 415?
Yes,
So-
sir, that's a
so-
few changes we made.
A few
It's not an
changes?
upgrade,
Okay,
We moved some, you know, because we are supposed to have the laundry in the main level,
okay,
which we moved it up to the second level, which took in place, you know, which was put in a place of a bedroom.
yeah,
So it's just a change of the
okay,
plan, that's
Yeah.
all, and there's no upgrades or anything.
Okay. I thank you. Mr. Strachan, summation if you want.
No further comments, thank you.
Final words, sir?
As per my request, if you could do that, I would appreciate it. So 432 would be a fair assessment for my home, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I thank you for coming this morning, and results very soon.
Sorry, just, you're Abdul?
Abdel, yeah,
Okay, thanks.
ABDEL.
And results very soon by registered mail?
Thank
All
you
right,
very much.
so thank you. Mr. Newman?
Good morning.
Good morning. You were probably watching on TV? And he knows when they come.
I was.
Oh, yes. We'll get you sworn in, Mark, and then we'll just take about a 5-minute break because our secretary has got to move her car.
Please state your full name. And you said the events about to present to the motion and please. I'll take your evidence out.
So we're going to take a 5-minute break.
It'll be the same for
It's
all
very
three.
much coffee. so
Oh, yes.
we're-
Okay.
This part is the same, and the attachments are different.
Okay.
And here are a bunch of these.
It's actually
On
the
this.
front
Good. Okay, we'll call the hearing back to order. And have our secretary swear in Mr. Inman, if you already haven't.
We did swear
You did?
in.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Strachan, we're gonna deal with the three properties in question. They're all the same, and whenever you're ready, you can take us through these properties and, okay.
Okay, address 206 Hansard, roll number 10002873000, located in Old Tuxedo. It's a two-story, single-family built last year. Our records show a gross living area of approximately 4,200 square feet. Full basement, there's some basement development, 4 washrooms, central air, fireplaces, attached garage, lot 9,700 square feet. All the comparables supplied are in same neighborhood, Old Tuxedo. Actually, I forgot to submit with my brief the maps, just to show the locations. Comparable number 1. Another property on Hansard, 123 Hansard. 2-story, built in 2005, a bit older, higher square footage, 5,800. Full basement, basement development, washroom count. I see it's 7, which is a fair amount. Central air, additional fireplaces, attached garage, and this property has a pool as well. Larger lot, 2,600 square feet.
1,000,
Sorry,
26,000.
or sorry, 26,000. Sale price, $2.2 million in April of 2013. The second sale, 39 Nanton, 2-story, 1936, undergone upgrades, plus the effective age of 1986. Just under 3,700 square feet, full part basement, 5 washrooms, central air, fireplaces, and attached garage. Lot size is higher as well, approximately 20,000 square feet. External corner, I believe it's at Nanton and Lamont. Comparable 3, 218 Hansard. Another 2-story, originally year built with an H variant applied, 2,600 square feet, full basement. 3 washrooms, central air, fireplaces. Has a attached and a detached garage. Lot size similar to the subject property of just over 9,700 square feet. Comparable 4, 1674 Wellington, 2-story, built in 1928. Has undergone upgrades. 2,100 square feet, full basement, 3 washrooms, central air, fireplace, detached garage, 9,200 square feet. It's not a riverside property. It's right at the corner of, I believe it's Fulham and Wellington. It sold for approximately $650,000. In February 2013, this property was in the best of condition. It was purchased and has undergone substantial, or is undergoing substantial renovations. We have the subject property assessed at $1,659,000. Sales history below. The first sale was It's a post-reference sale, since the reference date is April 1st, 2014. I will mention that the 2014 sale, $475,000, it was basically a land sale. The demolition occurred, I don't have the exact date, just prior to or shortly after the possession date in 2014. So again, $1,659,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strachan. Mr. Newman, questions of the assessor?
Yes. Mr. Strachan, you've now got a photo of the home from me.
Yes.
Does the concept of curb appeal mean anything in the context of buying homes?
Generally, yes, people.
And have you driven by this property?
No, I haven't had that one.
Are you aware that there's no backyard? Essentially, the home is built right to the rear lot line?
Yes, I looked at the area photos.
Okay,
Very minimal.
okay. The comparables, you were number one. Let's back up a step. You're saying this house is approximately 4,200 square feet. You and I have had some discussions about whether that's accurate, and you're aware that I've suggested it's 4,051 square feet. Let's leave that aside for the moment. None of your comparables, from a square footage perspective, are in the 4,000 or 4,200 square foot range, correct?
Correct.
And does the principle of economies of scale typically apply to homes as well? In other words, typically, the larger the home, the lower the value per square foot?
That does occur in several locations, yes.
So we look at your comparables 3 and 4, 2,562 square feet, 2,157 square feet. Those are both considerably smaller than the subject property, correct?
Correct.
And their rates per square foot are 300, or time adjusted, are 310 and 339 per square foot, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then you've got your comparable number 2 at 3,668 square feet. So anywhere from 400 to 600 square feet less than the subject, depending on what the correct square footage is for the subject, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of lot size, the subject is 9,747 square feet. Your numbers 3 and 4 are the most similar in terms of lot size, correct?
Correct.
Your comparable number 2 is almost exactly twice the lot size.
Yes.
And your comparable number 1 at just under 26,000 square feet is slightly under, well,
3 times.
yeah, it's under 3 times. Let's call it 2.5 times the
Yes.
size. Okay. Have you inspected any of these comparable properties?
Interior inspections, no.
Okay.
Or, sorry, yes, yes. 1674 Wellington,
Okay.
interior.
Okay, but at least you've seen photos of the rest of them?
Yes, at one point I've driven by
Right.
all of these properties.
Okay. So you've, the average, have you calculated an average of your time-adjusted sale prices?
I don't have the average.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'll suggest to you it's $341 a square foot.
Okay.
You're at $390 a square foot for the subject property. The only property that is anywhere near that value per square foot is your comparable number 1, correct?
Correct.
All the rest are far below $390 a square foot.
Yes.
Okay. And comparable number 1, as we've noted, almost just under 3 times the lot size. pool, as you've noted. Did you also noted that on the side of that house, there's an athletic playing surface?
Yes.
Yeah, are you aware that this used to be Mike Keene's home?
Yes.
Yes. And so part of what he did at that home is create a playing surface on the side of the house, which I'll point out in some photos I'll bring forward in due course. Much larger house, what about the landscaping? Did you notice very extensive landscaping?
I must say it's very attractive.
Very attractive.
Yes.
The subject doesn't have the same curb appeal as your comparable number one, does it?
I'll take your word for it, I haven't driven by the subject. Well, yeah, yes, the snow kind of covers, yes, there's a nice fence there.
There's a nice fence. And what about the rusting steel?
Yeah, that's what they do nowadays to make it look good.
Yeah,
But, no,
okay.
there's limited space to actually landscape.
Right. Those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Mr. Rempel, questions?
Yes, I just want to confirm, did the current owners purchase this property in 2015 for $630,000?
Yes, they did, it was a vacant lot at that time.
It was vacant at that time. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Faluk?
I have no questions of the assessor.
Mr. Strachan, building permits taken out at all,
Yes.
value-wise?
I was gonna ask.
1.5 million.
I'm sorry?
1.5. That's the declared construction value. I'm sure there's somewhat of a difference in the construction value, but higher or lower, I can't confirm that.
And do you have a date for that?
The date that it was taken out, it was issue date June 30th, 2016.
Do you know how long it took to build?
You know what, I don't have that information here.
But it was put on the roll for 17, so
Yeah.
that gives us a
Yeah, it was-
ballpark.
Yeah, I was looking for the date.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was
Thank you.
January 1st.
And Mr. Strachan, the last sale price for land, was that 630?
Yes,
630? And was it vacant at the time, or?
yes it was.
Okay.
Yeah, the previous sale at 475 was, it occurred right close to the sale date. It was demolition permit. I can't tell you if it was by the vendor or the purchaser. But it was, I'm under the assumption it was a land sale when the demolition occurred so close to the possession.
But the owner bought, paid $630?
Correct.
All right. Mr. Nolan, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I'll just mention that the, attached to the appeal for 2017 is the assessment notice, which indicates it came on the roll at August 1 of 17. So let me start with something that will be obvious to all of you, which is that what we're doing here today is trying to determine what a willing buyer would pay to a willing seller at April 1 of 2014 for what we see today at 6206 Hansard. And what we see today in this photo is a very interesting piece of construction. It's near as I can tell, steel. And near as I can tell, it's rusting. Now, I know that copper changes color over time and turns green. I'm not sure what color this will turn in the end. But you can see in the photo what it's doing. It is shoehorned into a smallish lot at 9,747 square feet. It has no backyard, essentially. It's got a limited front yard. It's got no pool like comparable number 1 does. It's got no extensive landscaping. This person decided they wanted to build this home in this location in the way in which they did. So attached to this photo are the plans for this home. I got these from the architect. They've been shared previously with Mr. Strachan. I had a conversation with the architect about the square footage, and what he tells me is that these plans represent what was built, which was then measured by a computer-assisted drawing program, and it reflects 2,686 square feet on the main floor and 1,365 square feet on the second floor. If you look at the plan for the second floor, the area that is shaded in, let's call it pink or orange, that is the area of development. The rest of that second floor, where it's white, there is nothing developed there. It's open to the sky. There's nothing built there. And if you'll note from this drawing, this plan of the second floor, there's 1 bedroom on the second floor. So this owner, in their wisdom, have built a home with 1 bedroom on the second floor and no bedrooms on the main floor. And I think we would all recognize that people who want to make sure that their home maintains resale value wouldn't do that. But that's why I said to you at the outset of my presentation, what we're here to figure out today is what would a willing buyer pay to a willing seller at the applicable reference date. And so whatever it costs this owner to build this, it doesn't matter. The question is, what's it going to sell for in the marketplace? A home squeezed into a 9,747 square foot lot with 1 bedroom on the second floor. But hey, it's got a courtyard in the middle on the main floor. And the reason that's there is because the owner needs somewhere to barbecue. So he built that courtyard open to the sky so he could go out there and barbecue. Okay, so, and of course, they built it in the fashion you see in the photo, which, as Mr. Strachan has acknowledged, curb appeal is important. You can make your own decision about the curb appeal of this home, but I'll show you the comparables in a moment, and they look quite different. So what I have done in my materials, and I've given you a separate one for 2017 and a separate one for 2018. The truth is I've combined some of the information in it. And so what I want to do is I want to walk you through it, and then I want to show you photos both of my comparables and of the assessor's comparables as well. So I told you I believe it's 4,051 square feet based on the plans given to me by the architect. The upper level is 1 bedroom, 9,747 square feet, no backyard, 1 bedroom upper level. It's not family friendly. It's a unique design, and the appearance, I'll leave that to you to make your own decisions. The 2017 assessment is proposed at $1,659,000, and depending on which square footage we use, that's either 390 square feet or that's $409 a square foot. I'll be silent on 2018 for now. So we have 2 issues, the square footage and the value per square foot. Over onto the next page on the square footage, I told you already that these plans come to me from the architect. I've had the discussion with him about how they've been measured, and he's telling me 4,051 square feet. Let's now turn to value. So if you go to my tab A, so here I've got a list of properties. And to be clear, what I did is I looked for 4,000 square foot homes, plus or minus, in Tuxedo. That was my yardstick. And I came up with a variety of homes, some just under 4,000 square feet, some just over 4,000 square feet. These are all listed. I'm going to show you photos in a moment. I've listed the ages. 3 of them are on the lake that is in South Tuxedo. I'll show you a photo of that in a moment. But you can see that the value per square foot ranges from a high of $368 a square foot for a house that sold November of 2013 to a low of $186 a square foot for a home that sold in February of 14, and I will show you photos of all of these. The average per square foot on these homes is $251, and if you look at the lot sizes, which is the column to the right, you can see with one exception, which is 501 Laidlaw, these homes are all on significantly larger lots. So let's turn the photos then, turn the pages of the photos. The first one is 37 Colchester, and you can see that very nice landscaping, very nice design. July 2012 on 16,600 square feet of land at $224 a square foot. The next photo is an overhead of the lake area, which is in South Tuxedo. And the reason I'm showing you that is because 3 of these homes are located around this lake. So 37 Kerrs Lake, if you see the word Google at the bottom of the photo, the home that is immediately above the G is 37 Kerrs Lake. And I've given you a separate photo of that. But I wanted you to see the overhead view of these properties because they all have much larger lots than the subject, all have the benefit of the lake in terms of the vista, all have extensive landscaping, and generally speaking, they have pools. So, they have the benefit of those much larger lot sizes. Then, next photo is 35 Dumbarton. Again, it backs onto the lake. Next one is 43 Dumbarton. Again, it backs onto the lake. Then you've got 37 Kerrs Lake taken from the street view. And you've seen the overhead where it backs onto the lake. And then you've got 501 Laidlaw. And then you've got 115 Grenfell. The assessor has a comparable, not in this group, in the next group on Grenfell. And then you have 714 Park. And again, my methodology was to look for 4,000 square foot homes, plus or minus, in the Tuxedo area. And these are the ones I come up with. And again, I point out they are all, with one exception, Laidlaw, on much larger lots. And they create a range of values from a high of a high of $368 a square foot, which is the Kerrs Lake property, to a low of $186 a square foot. I'll give you what my suggestion is in terms of value. Then, okay. So it looks like I have them mixed up. So I apologize. The comparables for 2017 are actually tab B to the 2018 brief, which you've got. So I need you to look at those photos. Okay, my bad. So the first one is 123 Hansard. And what I'm showing you now are the assessor's comparables. Pictures of the assessor's comparables is what is found in tab B of my brief, the 2018 brief, because I mixed them up. I think I mixed them up. Mixed up, Doug?
Yes.
Right? Yes, okay. So if you have in front of you tab B of the 2018 brief, the assessor's first comparable is 123 Hansard. And this is the one where I told you extensive landscaping. You will see on the right side of the photo that fencing encloses a hard court playing surface. Mike Keane has a young son, not so young anymore, he's now 21, playing hockey at University of North Dakota. But when he built this home, he built a playing surface. There were hockey nets out there all the time, and a basketball court. And I know this only because my son played hockey once with my Keane son, but only once, because my son wasn't very good. His son was really good and went up to the high ranks, and my son went nowhere, but he had a good time, which is what it's all about. So that's 123 Hansard, and that's why I say to you, a spectacular home on a 26,000 square foot lot with a pool, the playing surface on the side. 39 Nanton, the second of the assessor's comparables, again, a very large lot, over 19,000 square feet, a wonderful estate type home on a very large lot in complete proportion to the lot, so a beautiful site. The next one is 218 Hansard, again, nicely remodeled and upgraded home. Nice landscaping, well set back from the street and fits into the area. And then finally, 1674, 1674 Wellington is the last of the comparables that should be here. And this is the one that Mr. Strachan spoke about. It's on the corner of Wellington and Fulham, and the river is on the other side of the street. And what I say to you generally about these comparables is simply that they are very different than the subject, obviously. The subject is what I'll call a unique home in terms of appearance. It's been shoehorned into a lot. It's got unique features in terms of the one bedroom. And the question ultimately becomes, what's it worth? The highest of my comparables was the Kerrs Lake property at $368 a square foot on a much larger lot with a pool and a smaller home as well in terms of size. So taking into account curb appeal, economies of scale, lot size, the unique design of the home, and all of those criteria, I'm suggesting a value of $350 a square foot based on the 4,051 square feet, which turns into a value of $1,417,000. Subject to questions, those are my submissions.
I thank you, sir. Mr. Strachan?
The comparable sales, did you look at the entire listings, the interior pictures at all?
I did. Yeah.
Were they all subject property I hadn't been in? I'm assuming it's very modernized. Were all the comparables modern, or have they been, any of them original?
I'm gonna say to you, to a greater or lesser extent, I mean, remember, these are not homes that are built, generally speaking, in the 30s, 40s, or 50s. These are homes built in the late 80s or 1990. The Kerrs Lake property, by coincidence, at one time a friend of mine owned it, so I was in it. And after he built it, I know just before the sale in 2013, the listing reported that $1 million was put into it in terms of renovations. So it is a very, very upgraded home. It was a contemporary home to begin with when I was in it, and having put $1 million into it in the 2012-13 timeframe, it is a very, very upgraded home. I consider it to be the best comparable in terms of effective age and quality, but it's got a much larger lot at over 15,000 square feet. For that reason, I am making a downward adjustment to the subject property for the influence of the lake and the lot size. And that's why I've picked $350 a square foot, even though Kerrs Lake is at $368. And again, the unique features of the subject property in terms of the one bedroom on the main floor, the appearance, all of those things together is what has caused me to go to $350.
Okay. 37 Colchester.
Yes.
You have the interior pictures for that one?
Again, when I did my search, I did look at the interior photos of all the properties.
Okay. And has it been upgraded substantially by the appearance of the pictures?
Again, it's a 1989 construction. I would say to you, it's not been upgraded substantially, but again, it's not that old,
Right.
relatively speaking.
Kitchen seemed to be an important thing in properties. Has the kitchen been replaced in the Colchester property offhand?
I don't know the answer to that.
According to the picture, these the washrooms are ceramic tile. Appears to be original, is that correct?
I didn't know particularly the
Where are you
photos.
looking?
I didn't supply those, I'm just questioning his,
If you're
Use
looking
comparables.
at photos,
yeah,
and you're putting that to me, I'm prepared to accept what you're putting to me.
okay. Okay. Good enough. The properties on the lake, are they, well fertilized by chance? People find that a lot of cases negative, have a negative influence by the geese.
There's no question, there is a population of birds in that frequent those lakes.
Yes, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ripple.
Yes, I'm wondering, you're representing the owners, I assume?
Yes.
And the steel and the rusting and the design of the house is not what they wanted, or?
Oh, no, it is what they
It
wanted.
is what they wanted.
Right.
So they purchased the house for $630,000 in 2015, correct?
Which is post-reference, but keep going.
And the building permits indicated that 1.5 million is what it was going to cost for the build. Is that in fact what it did cost? Do you know the answer to
I
that?
don't know the answer.
You don't know the answer to that question. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Philip.
Thank you for your detailed presentation, Mr. Newman. When you got here, the sale price and then the square footage, that price per square foot is divided into the sale price, correct?
That's right.
Do you have an idea of what the their property tax assessments are by
Okay, what do we want to know about?
Well, you keep on using 37 Kerrs Lake as the comparative.
So 37 Kerrs Lake, I can tell you what the 2018 assessment is,
Yes.
$1,482,000.
1,000,000.
482,
Okay, and what is the square footage?
4,449.
And per square foot?
That'll be on the chart. I
Three
believe.
68, 368.
No, 360, it'll be driven by the sale price.
That's the
Oh,
sale
I'm
price,
sorry.
I'm asking
Sorry.
what it is at the assessment rate.
Right, so 1482 divided by 4449 is $333 a square foot.
333? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Robert, anything further?
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay.
And I
No,
have, and
one,
just.
one other question.
Okay.
Sorry. On this picture, is this their garage?
No. So there's a story about that garage, which you're gonna hear when we deal with 2018, because that garage belongs to 202 Hansard.
Oh.
And there's a story about 202 Hansard, where a new home has been constructed as well.
Yeah.
They've not torn down the garage. There's a story. I'll tell you the story. It's an interesting story.
So would they have a lane that they can get to a garage at the back?
For 206?
Yes.
Yes, so 206, the lane comes in off the street to the west. In Tuxedo, the lanes often come in, and then they come in running east-west. Sorry, yes, they come in running east-west, and then they turn north-south.
Okay.
And that's, so the lane, the closest laneway is off the immediate street to the west, which is Lamont, I believe.
Okay.
And so you come in from Lamont, you go east, and then you make a right turn, and you're going south, and you're in the lane behind 206.
And my other question is, on the second floor, they just developed this one bedroom. Is it possible to develop this other area at some time?
In theory, yes, but the home has been constructed with the rest of that area as an open area.
Oh, then what you're seeing is a roof of the first floor,
That's correct.
and then looking down into, so that's open also, this goes all, the courtyard goes all the way down
So the courtyard is open to the sky.
to the sky.
The rest of the main floor is not open to the sky, obviously.
Right.
It goes up to the ceiling.
Right.
And the ceiling becomes the roof for the main floor, for the portion of the second floor that does not cover the main floor.
So I'm thinking that possibly the difference between your square footage calculation and the assessor's square foot calculation is the fact that they take from wall to wall,
I
and
don't-
they include inside the open courtyard.
I don't think that's it, actually. The assessor's information notes that there's an open area on the second floor. I think they were aware of that and inputted that. I think the difference is that frequently when plans come in, and I think that's where this assessor's square footage start, they come from the plans that go in, but then the as-built sometimes varies a little bit, and I think that's what happened here. It varied a little bit.
It's just that in the previous hearings I've heard where the assessor has stated that they use the square footage of the outer walls.
Yeah.
And as a result, I was thinking that, in effect, by doing that on the main floor, they would include
Yeah.
the,
He'll tell you that that's not what happened here, that there was recognition that the second floor was a partial floor only.
Yes, in this case, we have accounted for we're not counting that as living area.
okay, I was just wondering if that was the reason for the difference.
Yeah, in some cases it does. In this case, the plans we have were very detailed.
Okay.
The assessor who did the assessment, he went by the numbers that were supplied on the plans down to quarter of an inch. He took every little figure into consideration. There's an aerial photo, just to show you that open area if you want to. Well, we have accounted for, we're not considering that courtyard living area.
Thank you.
You want this back then?
No, it's okay.
Summation, Mr. Strick?
At this point, I know there's a discrepancy in the square footage, which I'm sure that can be reviewed again, and if we're there, if there had been, I took a look for another set of plans, resubmissions, I didn't locate any, but I'll take a closer look. That I can't argue about whether it was 190 square foot difference, that's not the main factor. In my case, I stuck directly to the Old Tuxedo area. I find that to be a unique area, different neighborhood than South Tuxedo. Homes are similar age in South Tuxedo compared to the subject property, but I find the neighborhood is plays a factor in it, so that's why I stuck to Old Tuxedo. I'll admit the square footages aren't exact. It's, I find, almost impossible to find square footage like that in Old Tuxedo neighborhood. They're all unique, such as this property, which is very unique, I must say. But I feel sticking to the Old Tuxedo area was taken into consideration as an important factor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman?
I'll say some things now. I won't repeat them in the context of the 2018 appeal, but I'll ask that they be of equal application. So, curb appeal, lot size, design of the home in the sense of one bedroom only on the second floor. These are all elements which will impact a future sale of the property. It's not a family-friendly home in any way, but that's okay, that's what the owners chose to have. The only comparable the assessor is using that comes anywhere near the square footage rate of $390 that's being used is 123 Hansard, at time adjusted $387. I've showed you the photo of 129 Hansard. It is a lot that is just under 3 times the size, with spectacular landscaping, pool, playing surface, in every way a very, very different home. Even if you're going to rely on that comparable, I think you need to make adjustments for the lot size and the landscaping and the curb appeal and the nature of the home. I've selected $350 a square foot. It was driven to a considerable extent on my reliance on the 37 Kerslake property, which again is a larger lot, very updated, contemporary, the $1 million put into it just before the sale. And of course, 123 Hansard is 5,800 square feet, so it's a very different home. So ultimately, I think for all these reasons, the value of $350 a square foot on the 4,051 square feet is reasonable, and that results in a value of $1,417,000. Again, what a willing buyer would pay to a willing seller in the open market. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go on to the 218, 219. So Mr. Strachan, whenever you're ready.
Again, I supplied, or failed to supply maps for the comparable. Just as a, give you an idea of where they are.
Oops.
Okay. The 2018, 2019 comparables are the same, with the same reference date, April 1st, 2016. So both the 18, 19 comparables I supplied it's all the same information. Again, the subject property, 206 Hansard. Lucky enough to have one bedroom for possibly in-law purposes. It would work for me. comparables, Old Tuxedo, except comparable number 2 on Hosmer is in Tuxedo. Either 2 or 2.5 story properties. These areas are closer to the subject property, 3,200 up to approximately 4,200 square feet. They all have basements, or part basements, washroom counts, four washrooms in each of them, central air, fireplaces, attached garages. 2 of the properties do have pools, comparable to and 4 have in-ground pools, which some people feel are negative, have a negative influence on the property values. Lot sizes, comparable for is the same size, 9,700 square feet, otherwise the remainder are 13,000 square feet. Sale prices, whichever you'd like to take into consideration, plan adjusted sale prices. 1.1 million up to 1.6 million. Rates per square foot, 337 to 434 square foot. Sales either 2014 or 15. The 2018 and the 2019 assessment, 1,859,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman?
There's a comparable number 5 that on the next page,
Oh, sorry about that.
so maybe you want to
Yeah.
address that.
202 Hansard, it's on the map as well.
It has a garage. It has a garage.
Yeah, it's got a garage. It's not a high quality garage. Don't need to offend the owners. It's just, it's right beside the subject property. 2-story, 1931 with a 60-year age variant, approximately 3,000 square feet. You'll see the features, detached garage. The lot is approximately twice the size of the subject. It's sold for $1.175 million. This property has been demolished, and there's a new dwelling in place for the property. From what I understand, the property was vacant prior to the sale for a number of months. So it was unoccupied. Having an influence on the sale, that I can't confirm, but possibly the vendor was willing to dispose of it, that I can't confirm. And that one you'll see comes through as 434,000, but as I mentioned, the lot size is twice the size of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman?
Okay, so 202 Hansard. Have you heard the story about the attempt by that buyer to subdivide that large lot into 2 lots?
Yes, and there was some, I guess, comments from the neighboring property owners that had an influence on that decision.
And you're aware that it was not subdivided ultimately, correct?
Correct.
And have you noted that the home that's been built there has been built in what I'm gonna call the north side of the lot,
Yes,
essentially leaving the south side vacant,
correct.
but for that lovely garage, correct?
Yes.
And would it surprise you if I were to speculate that they're gonna try again to get it subdivided?
It wouldn't surprise me, yes.
Okay.
And then remove the garage.
Yes, of course. Okay, so, again, your comparables, as you've noted fairly, Mr. Strachan, and I thank you for that. 3 of them are 13,000 square foot lots. And again, your parameters have been to stay in Old Tuxedo as you've indicated, correct?
Correct.
And of your comparables, 3 of them, number 2, 3, and 4, are homes in the 3,400 square foot range, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Your comparable number 1 is the closest in size, correct?
Yes,
And it's quite proximate in terms of its location as well, correct?
correct.
It'll be in the same block, but 1 street to the west.
Yes,
On a 13,000 square foot lot, however, correct?
correct.
And it sold for a time-adjusted sale price of $396, with an effective age of 1996, correct?
Correct.
And here you're using $438 a square foot for the assessed value based on 4,244 square feet, correct?
That is correct.
To your knowledge, are any of these homes what I would call one-bedroom homes?
I will confirm that they are not one-bedroom homes.
Okay, those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ripple.
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Faluk.
No questions.
Mr. Newman, the floor is yours.
Okay, so, and forgive me, but the gremlins were really at my work on this one. This is 202 Hansard. Where is that? That is in my 2018 brief, the last page. Okay? And you can see it was, you know, it was an older home. I was actually in it. And it's a very large lot, and I know that the buyer bought this lot and paid what they did with the full intention of subdividing it, and they tried, and the neighborhood got up in arms, and it was defeated, but I believe they're going to try it again, because the home that was built is built at the northern boundary of the property along Nanton. Nanton
This
is
goes this way, the lot goes this way?
So the street that you see in front is Hansard, of course. It runs north-south.
Yeah, but this lot goes this way, right?
That's correct. And it runs up to Nanton. Nanton is the boundary street on the north.
Yeah.
So the new home that was built along the northern boundary, leaving open the southern portion of the lot, but for the garage, which has not yet been demolished. So that's that one. Let me show you, and again, now you have to go back to my 2017 brief, because remember, I reversed the photos. Tab B of the 2017 brief is the assessor's comparables. So 225 Lamont. You can see again a fine estate home, very large lot. You can see the driveway at the right side of the photo, and you can see the open land area on the right side of the photo. Then you've got 404 Hosmer, which is a different type of property. It's actually south of Corden, more modern home, but again, on a 13,000 square foot lot. Then you've got 114 Grenfell. You know, again, one of the old estate type homes in the old Tuxedo area. And then you've got 222 Hansard. Similar old estate type property. This one has been upgraded. And it's carrying an effective age of 1999. And then lastly, of course, is 202 Hansard, which I showed you at the outset. And the point I want to make simply by showing you these photos is that, again, and I don't quarrel with the assessor's decision, he stayed in Old Tuxedo, but the difficulty with that is it's difficult finding comparables around 4,000 square feet in that area. So what I did, if you go to tab A of my 2018 brief, again, I focused my search on 4,000 square foot plus or minus homes. A couple of them are the same as we looked at in the last bunch, but there are others that are different. So 37 Kerrs Lake is still there based on its size. 501 Laidlaw is still there based on its size. 115 Grenfell. There's a picture of that. That's across the street from the assessor's 114 Grenfell. And you can see the photo of that in my tab A of the 2018 brief. 714 Park you saw before. 34 Dumbarton in South Tuxedo, not on the lake. 51 Burnley. It's an overhead photo, and I was having a hard time manipulating the Google mapping to get a view of the property. And so I went to the overhead because I couldn't get a street view, because it's a pie-shaped lot that's in the corner of a cul-de-sac. So I just couldn't get a good view of it. And then 40 Mountbatten, spectacular lot, just under 24,000 square feet at the corner of Kelvin and Mountbatten. And again, I did an overhead view there because of all the trees and landscaping. I could not get a reasonable view of the home, and that's why I gave you the overhead view there as well. But again, it's a spectacular home with a transaction date of May of '86, but under contract before that at just under $280 a square foot. So again, looking at these homes, the high value is the Kerrs Lake property. Sorry, the high value is 225 Lamont, with an effective age of 1996. The photos that I looked at, the listing photos, this is a spectacular home. It was a sift-in home with the most wonderful antique furniture and carpets. And if someone wants that type of home, they would have been very taken by it. That's the highest value at $388 a square foot. Not time adjusted, the assessor's showing it at $396. The subject is sitting at $438 using the assessor's square footage. If you go to the lower square footage, then that rate per square foot based on the assessment will go up. So I ultimately looked at 37 Kerrs Lake at $368 a square foot. I looked at 225 Nanton at $388 a square foot. Mr. Phillip, you asked me what the assessment was on Kerrs Lake, and I told you it was $333 a square foot. I'm actually just seeing if I have it here. I anticipate I do. I do. So the assessment for 225 Lamont, which is the assessor's highest comparable of the estate type homes, at time adjusted $396 a square foot. The 2018 assessment is $1,478,000, and it has, based on 4,182 square feet, the assessed value per square foot is $353. So when the subject is proposed, as I've discussed, at $438 a square foot. So looking at those two properties, which I consider the most similar based on their size, but again noting that the lots are much larger, I'm ultimately suggesting to you that you use $390 a square foot for 2018 for the subject property. It comes in slightly above Kerrs Lake and Nanton, but below the assessor's 438, and based on 4,051 square feet, that becomes $1,579,000. And subject to questions, those are my submissions.
Is that based on your square footage?
That's yes, based on my square footage. Yeah, so 4,051 square feet at $390 a square foot is $1,579,000.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Mr. Strachan?
Some of the comparables are again in South Tuxedo. Do you feel that South Tuxedo and Old Tuxedo are the same type of neighborhoods? Comparable, you'd find the same. Is it as unique as Old Tuxedo, South Tuxedo? Is it more just standardized compared to Old Tuxedo?
Well, I won't describe South Tuxedo as standardized, and by that I mean simply, these are large lots where people have spent a lot of money to build homes, lots of stonework, for example, in some of the homes we saw in the photos. It is different than Old Tuxedo, I'll acknowledge that, in the sense that obviously it does not have the mature trees. So to that extent, it is certainly different. And there's no question, you will get certain buyers who will say, I want to be in Old Tuxedo, I want that type of neighborhood. You will get other buyers who will say, I want the lake, for example, or I want the type of home that's along the lake. There'll be different motivations for different buyers. My primary focus, as I said, was to look at the square footage first and try and find comparable homes in terms of square footage. But the homes in South Tuxedo, these are very nice homes without question. We can see that from some of the sale prices. They are on larger lots. The difference simply is they don't have the mature trees. That's really the difference. But I will say to you that the subject property is not an old estate home. It's a very modernish type home, which some might say fits in way better in South Tuxedo than it does in Old Tuxedo. And that brings me back to the curb appeal concept.
Right, okay. And some of the comparables, did you take a look at, or have any time-adjusted sale prices? Just
I've not done time-adjusted sale prices.
okay. And we're comparing a house that was built in 2017. The comparables that you supplied have undergone upgrades, but is say 225 Lamont built in 1926, is that it has undergone upgrades? Do you feel that if people are gonna look at that, is the original age gonna have any influence on their purchase price compared to the subject property, which is basically new everything?
So here's the balance, and it's balance, and there's no single correct answer to your question, obviously. If I come along and decide I want a unique design, and I want new construction, and modern as can be, I'm gonna look at the subject property. If I want what I'm gonna call a more traditional home, on a larger lot, with a curb appeal that is more consistent with the Old Tuxedo neighborhood, I'm gonna look at 225 Lamont. It's gonna be a matter of personal taste at the end of the day. And that's why this is not a simple exercise. These are not cookie cutter homes, and I acknowledge that. And as I say, that's why my primary search criteria was the square footage. And at the end of the day, the value I'm suggesting at $390 a square foot is quite similar to the $396 time adjusted for 225 Lamont. But it does take into account, arguably not even enough, frankly, but it does take into account the lot size and the unique configuration of the subject property.
Okay. last question, were you able to get inside the subject property?
I was not.
I have no other questions.
Thank you. Ms. Whipple?
Can you describe for me the difference in the square footage argument that you're having with the city?
Yes. And let me summarize, thank you for that, that's, so if you go to this, and adding this, and those two from these drawings equal this square footage of 4,051 square feet. And just so all of you are clear, everything I've said to you in terms of facts is summarized in the text on the first 2 pages of my materials. But I'm thankful for that assistance, and it's exactly correct. And these, again.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted.
But that's fine. And these drawings, these plans, are given to me by the architect, and I've discussed with him.
Thank you, that's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Fruin?
No, I have no further questions.
Mr. Strachan, final word?
The square footage we use is what the architect supplied us, but possibly changes occurred. That I can't argue. We didn't get a supplementary set of plans, but we've got all the measurements here. That's what the assessor went by, was the exact measurements. It's a unique property, can't argue that, especially being a one-bedroom. That does have to be taken into consideration, I agree with that. There's very few comparables that are possible, or basically I'll say there is no comparables to match this house. So that's why I do look at the right homes. Old Tuxedo, I found that to be an important factor, so I left it in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Newman, final word?
Curb appeal, as he's acknowledged, unique. These assessments are created by a model. That's how they're created. They're defended based on comparables, but they're created by a model. The model doesn't take into account one bedroom and the impact on saleability of that. I think you've heard me. I'm urging the square footage upon you, and I'm urging the rate of $390 for 2018 and $350 for 2017. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Newman, and results very shortly,
Thank you.
and have a good day.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, as I said.
Nice to meet you. And you.
Mr. Strachan, we'll just have to do some little cleanups here in regards to number 2, just read it into the record. Roll number and address.
Roll number 050055433069 Margate. You'd like me to go through the comparables?
No.
No, okay. Property assessed at $246,000. The property was inspected July of this year, sorry. The assessor made a reduction. The original assessment was $310,000. We made the adjustment, and it brought it down to $246,000. The appellant still wasn't happy. On the application form, there was supposed to be an agent come in to represent the owner. He was going to try to get the appellant to withdraw. It didn't occur, so maybe that's why he didn't show up today.
Okay,
That I can't confirm.
and it will go to 4 and 5.
Zero 40013057000 106 Weeps Drive, River East neighborhood. These were supplementary assessments. 2017, 432,000, recommendation to 415,000. There was attribute changes made, and with the changes made, took into consideration sales of properties with closer features. The 2018 supplementary, the 2018 value, 440,000, same thing applicable, recommendation to adjust the supplementary assessment to 425,000. I have an email from the owner accepting the recommendations, if you'd like to have a copy.
Yes. Mr. Strachan, I think that includes everything. So I thank you for your presentations. And have a pleasant day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hopefully this is the last time I'm here.
You never know.
Forever, or just for
this year.
this year?